Hi everyone, welcome to the Friday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. Topping our news, the 60th annual Western Kentucky State Fair kicked off today. Now during the fair, attendees will have plenty of things to experience, from wrestling, mud bogs, and tractor pulls to special exhibits and shows. Plus, lots of food and rides for kids and adults to enjoy. Meanwhile, tonight at 8, the young ladies take to the runway for the Miss Pageant at the Convention Center. The Mrs. Pageant will be held tomorrow night at 8 with the infant, baby, and tiny tot pageants tomorrow afternoon at 3, 4, and 5. And then on Sunday, the youth pageants begin at 1 o'clock. This year's big entertainment headliner is the multiple award-winning bluegrass group, the Grascals, with their lightning hot stage show and Raise the Rafters vocals. Now, the Grascals will perform on Tuesday night at 7:30 at the Fairgrounds Convention Center. For ticket information for the Grascals performance, call Paula at James Knight Appliance. Admission to the fair, just $3. And if you'd like to view the fair schedule, visit www.westernkystatefair.org. The Western Kentucky State Fair runs through next Saturday, July 9th. Area residents have more options this year when it comes to purchasing fireworks, since bottle rockets and Roman candles are no longer illegal in Kentucky.
Last year we were under a Safe and Sane program where only small fireworks that didn't leave the ground were allowed within the state of Kentucky. And this year they've changed the law to allow the larger consumer fireworks within the state.
The fire inspector also talks about how you can now purchase, or who can now purchase, fireworks under the new law.
The state of Kentucky, when they changed the law to the increased consumer fireworks, they've also changed the law that you have to be 18 to sell fireworks and 18 to purchase fireworks. So any younger teenagers that are trying to purchase fireworks at a tent are not going to be allowed to buy them without an adult.
As residents celebrate Independence Day this weekend, officials are encouraging everyone to let their patriotism shine, but to use caution when handling fireworks.
A family fireworks display, the shooter, which is the person who's going to be igniting the fireworks, should be an adult. They should be in a level surface area, free of trees and any other overhead objects such as power lines or phone lines. And then the audience needs to be at least 25 feet away. The whole group should have at least a water hose or a bucket of water to safely douse the fireworks or sparklers in afterwards. And if a firework does not ignite and the wick is gone, leave it for 15 or 20 minutes until it's cooled down and then soak it with the water hose, because you don't want one to explode.
In addition, Clues offers more tips on how to handle specific types of fireworks that some residents may think are foolproof.
Sparklers, and I want everyone to remember that sparklers burn at 1200 degrees. That's like a white hot little flame that's at the end, and you need to make sure that children who have a sparkler keep it well away from their face and they point it away from their body, and that they're at least 10 or 15 feet away from another child, because the sparks that come off kind of sparkle for, you know, a foot around the sparkler. That's why it's called a sparkler. And then another firework that's still available are the little poppers. They do get hot, so children that are allowed to use a popper, they need to make sure they have a good shoe on, make sure they have their good tennis shoes on, because the heat will come through a flip-flop or a sandal.
Meanwhile, several communities and Kentucky parks are hosting fireworks displays this weekend. Ken Lake State Resort Park in Aurora will be showcasing fireworks Sunday around dusk at the Old Beach area. Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Park in Gilbertsville will have live bands playing Sunday at 6, with a fireworks show following the performance. And Lake Barkley State Resort in Cadiz will be having their fireworks display at 9 p.m. Sunday. In addition, the law enforcement officials want to remind motorists to keep safe, as officers will be out in full force patrolling the roadways across the state during the 3-day holiday weekend. The Pennyrile Area Development District got some good news today. PAD is receiving a $75,000 rural development grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. 1st District Congressman Ed Whitfield made the announcement today and said the funds awarded will be used to provide technical assistance and skills development to enable and further small business growth within the 9-county area served by PAD. Whitfield said, with unemployment remaining high, I'm pleased to see these funds going towards small business creation and development. He went on to say small business creators are the engines of our economy, and providing them with the tools they need to create jobs is a worthwhile use of these grants. Hopkinsville police are investigating the alleged rape and sodomy of an 11-year-old girl. According to the report released today, the 11-year-old told police that she was raped and sodomized around 11 o'clock Sunday night when she was with 4 males ages 21, 19, 16, and 15 at the rear of Attucks Elementary School on East 1st Street. The victim told officers that the 4 males asked her for sexual favors, but when she refused, the suspects insisted and appeared angry, so she agreed. Police need your help in locating a missing Marshall County girl. According to Kentucky State Police, 18-year-old Chelsea Norrid has been missing since Wednesday when she had a bus ticket bound for her parents' home in Missouri. However, she never boarded the bus and has not been seen since. Norrid is described as a white female, 5 foot 3 inches tall, about 135 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. If you know the whereabouts of this teen, please contact Kentucky State Police 270-856-3721. For the second time this month, a Todd County judge has postponed his decision on whether or not to change the venue of a teen's murder trial. Todd County Circuit Judge Tyler Gill today continued the case of 17-year-old Garrett Dye until July 22nd. Hopkinsville attorney Dennis Ritchie, who was representing Dye, previously told Source16 his client could not get a fair trial in his home county because residents have already heard too much about the case. The 17-year-old is accused of killing his 9-year-old adoptive sister and biological cousin, Amy Dye, by hitting her in the head multiple times with a hydraulic jack handle on February 4th at their home on Dogwood Lane near Trenton. A Clarksville bank robber's false teeth, or lack of, helped police identify the man. Clarksville Police spokesman Jim Knoll says good old-fashioned police work and help from the media were instrumental in leading to the arrest of the bank robber after he robbed Heritage Bank on Trenton Road Tuesday morning around 10 o'clock. Knoll said after a picture of the bank robber was broadcast or published, tips flowed into the police department. One of the tipsters identified the suspect as 33-year-old Kenneth Evan Powers, but police say the tipsters also noticed he didn't have his false teeth in at the time of the robbery. Powers was tracked down to a trailer off of Cumberland City Road in Stewart County, where he was taken into custody Thursday by a tactical unit that forced their way inside the home. Police say Powers was uncooperative and had to be tased. He was charged with robbery and lodged in the Montgomery County Jail on a $75,000 bond. According to Officer Knoll, Powers has an extensive criminal history locally and also in New York, Georgia, and Wisconsin. He is also being held for a parole violation. And here's something you don't see every day. Motorists were quite surprised yesterday driving down Fort Campbell Boulevard when they saw a near-naked man standing in the middle of the road in front of Baldwin's Appliance, wearing only his skimpies, as you see in this amateur video taken with a cell phone and sent to Source16. Hopkinsville police were dispatched to the boulevard after lines lit up at the Emergency Communication Center about the man standing only in his underwear, screaming and yelling at passing motorists. By the time officers arrived, the 39-year-old Madisonville man had already stripped off his underwear and was in the roadway completely nude. He was arrested, charged with disorderly conduct, and taken to a local mental hospital for evaluation. The state real property tax rate will remain at 12.2 cents per $100 of assessed value, according to the Kentucky Department of Revenue. A state statute requires the Department of Revenue to set the real property rate no later than July 1st of each year. The rate is based on revenue generated from the increase in taxable real property assessments from 2010 to 2011. Revenue generated from the property tax goes into the state's general fund. In a story we reported last night at 10, the Senate yesterday confirmed former 101st Airborne Division Commander General David Petraeus to be the nation's 20th CIA director. Following the 94-0 vote, Petraeus stated that he will be leaving behind his military brain trust of staffers who has stood by his side during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and he hopes to ease CIA fears that he will turn the agency into another military operation. According to his testimony, he hopes to change how the agency compiles intelligence reports. Since 2010, Petraeus has been in charge of U.S.-led forces in Afghanistan and will retire from the Army as a 4-star general. In addition, in 2007, then-President George W. Bush appointed Petraeus to direct troops in Iraq. He is replacing Leon Panetta, who was sworn in today as Pentagon chief. Petraeus is a West Point graduate and will be retiring from the military after 37 years in the Army. Kentucky Secretary of State candidate Bill Johnson was in Hopkinsville last night to recruit supporters. The Elkton native held an ice cream fundraiser at a local restaurant and spoke about why residents should vote for him and not his opponent, Allison Lundergan Grimes of Lexington.
Well, I think, number one, the issues. My opponent doesn't support picture ID, and certainly I believe in it strongly. You know, today you have to have a picture ID to fly an airplane, to buy medications, even to buy cigarettes. And I think our security, the security for elections ought to be at least as strong as buying a pack of cigarettes. My opponent, however, doesn't believe picture ID is important. So there are some election issues that differentiate myself from my opponent. I think my background as somebody who's been in business for 13 years, as somebody who's a military veteran, and involved in the school system as well. I taught school here at Hopkinsville High this past spring. So there's my background and qualifications that again separate me from my opponent. So I'm going to bring common sense, business sense to Frankfort, and that's what I intend to do.
Johnson beat out Hilda Legg of Somerset for the Republican nomination for Secretary of State during the May 17th primary. A tip led to the arrest of one of the fugitives featured on Crime Stoppers this week. 21-year-old Billy Oliver of Hopkinsville was arrested at a home on West 15th Street around 5:30 yesterday afternoon on the strength of 2 bench warrants signed by Christian County Circuit Judge Andrew Self and Family Court Judge Jason Fleming. Oliver was wanted for a drug court probation violation and contempt of court.